friend.
That's such a good story. I love it.
Well, it was a high point of my life, wasn't it?
The sacred thread was put to some real use, huh? No, just kidding. Okay. So, Prabhus, welcome to our Sunday Zoom meeting. We're officially live on Facebook and YouTube. And
Jai! Welcome, everybody.
Jai. We have
May you all come in from all sides and take part in our association of. Our association means we associate with you because you are pure spirit soul.
Jai. We have Jagannath Prabhu from Minnesota, Rupa Manjari from Los Angeles, Narayan Prabhu from Los Angeles, and myself from Sacramento, California. And now we're going to launch to our program here.
But no Vaisheshika yet.
Not yet. Okay.
It would be interesting if we could get even just one bogus guru to agree with us and
well,
join us.
Well, a lot of them do agree with us, but they can't afford to do anything because their paycheck depends on playing the game.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, who would think just by being a devotee for 50 years, one becomes an Uttama Adhikari and is able to initiate and take the aspirants back to Godhead when they themselves are not situated.
Yeah, exactly. If a person wants to understand that, they don't have to think, who is Uttama Adhikari? They just have to think, what is it like to go into the Midwest to a Thanksgiving dinner with people, with your grandfather or uncle and all sorts of, I'm saying the Midwest because like you might have 50 relatives at your Thanksgiving dinner.
Mm.
And in that Thanksgiving dinner, how many people are thinking beyond the immediate family group?
Very, 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 very not many. Absolutely.
If any. Maybe some of the 6 years old wish to hell they weren't there and they wish they were thinking around beyond the family group. But do you see what I'm saying? All the gurus and the disciples have formed into that sort of family where they all believe in each other and they can't see that they can't even begin to understand what would be an Uttama Adhikari, and they wouldn't know what to do with one if they saw one.
Yeah. And my experience had been that even though I was serving Srila Prabhupada here in Sacramento, everyone wanted me to take, Vaisheshika as a guru, this person, that person as a guru. I was always reluctant to their, or Jai Pataka, So I was always reluctant to their.
Jai Pataka, good God.
Yeah.
It's sad that so many people come to Hare Krishna reading Prabhupada's books, and then they see what the current ISKCON is, and then they immediately get turned away.
Well, that's the problem, and this is the League. We founded the League, Prabhu. We founded the League for 10K on the principle that we can't simply. The League for 10K means 10,000 years, right? We can't be concerned with today and tomorrow only. We have to think, if we're devotees and we are following Lord Chaitanya, if we are followers of Prabhupada and are surrendered to Krishna, well, our job is to get everybody in the golden age of Kali to chant Hare Krishna at least once. Not even chant, hear the Hare Krishna mantra at least once. So how do we do that in the present situation? The present situation, as far as I can see, will not be able to survive beyond another 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years. And then what? So we have to restore everything to Prabhupada while we still have breath in our body. And, not just lament, oh, it should have been Prabhupada, oh, blah, 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 like that, or, oh, Ritvik this or something. No, we don't have to worry about any of that. Just do it. We create the atmosphere, create the need, because most people want Prabhupada. And if we stand back for a moment and put our hands over our eyes like this and ask ourselves, who wouldn't want Prabhupada? Who would not prefer to have Prabhupada than a current ISKCON guru? It doesn't make sense? If they really could think about it. But they're so completely consumed with this Boy Scout. Oh, I've got the best Boy Scout leader in the Boy Scouts, and his name is such and such Swami, you know. They can't even begin to think, what would it be like if Prabhupada were here? Well, so what if Prabhupada is here? You know, Thakur Bhakti Vinod, Bhaktisiddhanta's father wrote, yes, he reasons ill who say Vaishnavas die, when thou art living still in sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and living spread the holy life around. So can we say, at what point can we say that Prabhupada's tape recordings are dead sounds? I mean, we listen to Elvis Presley. We listen to the Rolling Stones. Well, they're still alive, more or less. But I mean, we listen to so many dead rock stars' songs, and we don't consider that their songs are dead. That sounds so good, you know, they like it. But Prabhupada, nobody listens to Prabhupada.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
One of my friends, they had a New York Rath Yatra this year. I mean, not this year, the other day, today and yesterday. So he visited the Brooklyn Temple, and all he saw was Vaisheshika Giri Raj and Devamrita Swami's books on the table, you know, right at the front desk. So this is what we're dealing with, you know. They don't have any of Prabhupada's books.
Wow.
Yeah. So Prabhupada's books, but what about Prabhupada's personal sound vibration?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just say that Prabhupada is the transparent vine medium for Krishna. Krishna is eternal. Prabhupada is an Uttamadhikari. Let me ask the question of the group here. Is Prabhupada eternal?
Of course.
Jai, yes.
We
100%.
say of course, but it sounds hard to say, doesn't it? But it is
easy
true.
to say, but it's easy to say, but people don't believe it.
Well, I think maybe it takes a while to come to that conclusion.
Yeah, why? Why is it taking?
Our material senses are so dense.
Well, you know, the whole point is we were pushed. The GBC deliberately created a wedge between us and Srila Prabhupada starting in 1970. And then they had to think, we have a relationship with Prabhupada and the devotees have a relationship with us. Now take away Prabhupada, now the devotees have a relationship with us. Who created that? Prabhupada didn't create that.
The Catholic Church created that.
Yeah. So exactly. So Prabhupada didn't create that gap, that chasm. But he couldn't prevent the GBC from doing it because we listened to the GBC, because we thought they had authority.
We thought we could trust them.
I'm sorry, Prabhu?
We thought we could trust them.
Yes, we thought we could trust them. And
I think they're just slowly.
Prabhupada wanted the GBC to be composed of temple presidents that were elected for 3-year terms, renewable 3-year terms. In other words, Prabhupada wanted the GBC to be like senators in the United States government. They have 4-year terms, renewable 4-year terms. Prabhupada wanted the GBC to have renewable 3-year terms, but they would remain temple presidents. Now, supposing they went on to do other things, well, then somebody else would be the temple president. but it was never supposed to be, GBC was never supposed to be beyond the temple president. And how do we know? Prabhupada wrote a paper. Rupa, what did he write?
The direction of management.
Yeah. Can you give a little explanation of what that is?
Yeah, it's the founding document of the GBC. The GBC was like, it's the constitution for ISKCON. And it states clearly that the GBC is a temporary role, which is limited by 3-year terms and is elected by the temple president, so that the power of authority rests on the shoulders of the temple presidents, who are actually over the GBC, instead of the other way they have it now, which is the other way around.
That's the way Prabhupada wanted it. And he also wanted something else that they violated, and that is he wanted each and every temple, ISKCON temple, to be individually incorporated. Can you imagine what it would be like if each and every temple were individually incorporated? They couldn't make this huge mass, like a huge tumor in the belly of an otherwise athletic ISKCON movement. They have all the temples in ISKCON incorporated in West Bengal. All of them, hundreds of temples, all of them incorporated in West Bengal.
Wow.
That is completely against Prabhupada. Now, if Prabhupada had said, I'll leave it up to you guys, you can vote on it, but he didn't. He made it clear. He made it clear that the temples should all be individually incorporated, and he made it absolutely clear that the GBC should be elected to 3-year terms. Document, direction of management. Do you know how many people signed the direction of management?
Or
No, 11, didn't they? Didn't all the members sign?
no, 3 Prabhupada signed it and 3 countersigned it.
Okay, but the ones that were stated to be direct GBC approved of it. Nobody said no, right?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
But they never once held an election. Not once. And back in 1970, it would have been easy to hold an election.
And they're having infinite terms.
I'm sorry?
They're being GBC members forever, or as long as they want.
Yes. They're not actually GBC. They're just using the word GBC. You know,
Because they started a separate, legally distinct group called the GBC Society of West Bengal. So they're GBCs of their own organization, not of Prabhupada's GBC.
And they just use the same term because they said Prabhupada created the GBC. So calling themselves GBC, it would be like the mafia calling themselves your uncle's name when they take over his pizza parlor, you know?
What about the Bangalore temple? Aren't they trying to do something different?
Yes, they are trying to follow the Prabhupada's direction of management. They elect their GBC for 3-year terms. But to tell you on the truth, they're in a tough spot because they're surrounded by enemies on all sides. Because they're surrounded by enemies on all sides, it's very difficult for them to do anything except grit their teeth and keep on going. But having said that, they do have elections, they do elect their GBC. And I've been to Bangalore back in 2016, and January of 2016, and it was very nice. And they were obviously committed to being Prabhupada disciples the way Prabhupada chose.
Very nice. My wife is from there, so I visit often. But I haven't been to that temple yet. Every time I try to go, it's closed.
Your wife is from Bangalore?
Oh, yeah. Karnataka.
She's Indian.
Yep.
How wonderful.
I'm lucky.
Well, yes, you are. You're blessed. So if
Okay.
your wife is from there, then I had better bite my tongue and say, your wife is from Bangalore.
Yep.
Okay, so what's happening there, Ramachandra? You've got something.
Yeah, this is a interview done with Srila Prabhupada. Wrote interview March 12th, 1968 in San Francisco. So we'll just read a little bit about the interview and Srila Prabhupada's responses to the interviewer. So Jagannath Das Prabhu, can you start it off?
Yep. Interviewer. Now I just want to read one section here. I think you'll be able to. The International Society of Krishna Consciousness began with Swami Bhaktivedanta arrived from India with $2 on his person, a metal suitcase full of ancient-looking books, and a cotton cloth robe, colored yellow, as a sign of the renounced order of life. In India, men of his order are completely dedicated to propagating the spiritual life of mendicant wanderers. He had wandered across the sea upon the order issued to him by his guru, who told him he should prepare to go to America to teach the principles taught in the Bhagavad Gita, and to translate the 60 volumes of the Srimad Bhagavatam into English. Now, are you a guru? Prabhupada. Yes, I am the spiritual master of this institution and all the members of the society. They are supposed to be my disciples. They follow the rules and regulation which I ask them to follow, and they are initiated by me spiritually. So therefore, the spiritual master is called Guru. That is Sanskrit language.
Let's read more, Prabhu.
Interviewer. Guru means teacher. Prabhupada. Guru means not exactly teacher. Guru, the word means heavy, 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 heavy. Interviewer. Is Guru and Swami the same thing? Prabhupada. Swami means practically the same thing. Swami means the master of the senses. One who has not control over the senses, he cannot become Guru. The renounced order means he's strictly away from all kinds of sense gratification, especially sex life. Therefore, he's called Swami. Swami means the master. One who has become the master of the senses, he can become the spiritual master of the society. That is the idea.
Okay, let's continue a little bit.
Interviewer. The Swami. Now, did I understand you to say the Swami has no sex life? Prabhupada. No, certainly not. Interviewer. Certainly not. All right. Now, when you. Prabhupada. Well, actually, sex life is allowed only to the householders. According to Vedic culture, sex life is restricted. There are 4 divisions of society. The brahmachari is strictly forbidden for sex life. The vanaprastha, they are also forbidden for sex life. And the sannyasi, they are also forbidden for sex life. So out of 4 divisions, 3 divisions are strictly forbidden of sex life. Only the householders, they can have restricted sex life with a married wife simply for begetting children. That is Vedic culture. Interviewer. Only for propagating children. Prabhupada. That's all. Interviewer. Then there is a similarity to Catholicism. That priest is supposed to be celibate. Prabhupada. Certainly. Anywhere there is spiritual conception, sex life is not indulged. Anywhere, either it may be Christianity or Hinduism, sex life is materialism. That is the opposite number of spiritualism. So people are trained gradually to refrain from sex life, and in the sannyasi's life, he is completely trained. Therefore, he's allowed to move in the society for preaching spiritual education. Interviewer. Now, the whole world has heard of the Maharishi Mahesh. Is he part of your order? Prabhupada. No, I have heard so much in the paper. Interviewer. He is the world's most famous guru at the present time. Prabhupada. He's not a guru. But he's advertised his name like that. Laughs. A guru is different thing. But people are in your country, in the western part of the country of the world, people are after some spiritual information. So anyone who comes professing as a spiritualist, he is welcome. And if he flatters, then it is very convenient to get followers. So we don't follow exactly in that way. We follow exactly the principles of Vedic ways of life. So in that way, sex life for a sannyasi is strictly prohibited. Interviewer. So many of the people are going to him for meditation. Is meditation part of your philosophy? Prabhupada. Yes, but meditation as this Maharishi or any other Swami or are professing, that is not exactly the process of meditation. The standard meditation is described in the Bhagavad Gita. This is a very difficult job. You have to select a solitary place. You have to sit in a certain position. You have to regulate your life, complete celibacy, eating, sleeping. There are so many rules and regulation. That sort of meditation is absolutely impossible for the present way of life. For the present generation, the chanting, the vibration of the holy name of God is recommended in the scriptures. It is said that meditation was possible in the Satya Yuga when people were cent percent pure, and they are, for the present, mostly people are impure. So they cannot execute meditation as it was described in the standard scriptures. Interviewer, is yoga part of meditation? Prabhupada, yoga is a very broad term. Yoga means to connect with the absolute truth. That is yoga. Yoga means connecting link. So there are different varieties of yoga. Just like one staircase, it is the connecting link to the top floor. So that is everywhere you can say staircase, but one who has crossed a few steps and one who has crossed a few floors, they are not on the same level. Interviewer. I'd like to read one thing. This is evidently said by a man named Swami Shiva Premananda of New York's Yoga Center. He said, if one has the time to put in about 8 or 10 hours a day for 10 years, one might develop the power to see through a wall through meditation. I've seen people develop X-ray vision, but I've never seen the point of paying such a heavy price for it. Prabhupada. But I don't think it is practical that one can meditate for 8 to 10 hours or 12 hours. Interviewer, for 10 years. Prabhupada. But it is, yes, for 10 years. It is most impractical proposition. Therefore, as recommended, we have to follow the regulation as recommended in the scriptures. For the present age, this meditation, now last night we had Sankirtana in the public library. Where is that? Oakland. So all the people immediately joined us as soon as we began to chant Hare Krishna. Immediately there's effect. There is no rules and regulation that you have to do this or that. Simply join Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We had lectured in the YMCA Sunday school, little boys and children. They also joined with us. We performed this Hare Krishna chanting in the park. Children, old men, young men, everybody joined. It is. Interviewer. Do you have a temple here, Swami, or do you meet in libraries? Prabhupada. No, we have got a temple here. Actually, it is at Frederick Street 518. Interviewer. What does your temple look like? Prabhupada. It is temple. Just there is deity. Radha Krishna deity. It is a place of sanctuary. If you go there, you'll find immediately some impulse of spiritual idealism. Prabhupada, do you have altars? Or interviewer, sorry. Do you have altars? Prabhupada, yes. Interviewer, do you have any of the other things you find in the inside of churches? Prabhupada, yes. We have altars, we have pictures, we offer fruits, flowers, incense, and immediately by the combination of these things, there is some spiritual atmosphere and there's chanting. So people enjoy it very nicely. Interviewer, we're talking with Swami A.C. Bhaktivedanta, head of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. If you have questions, call this number. A.C. Bhaktivedanta, I'm going to skip that. A.C. Bhaktivedanta, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. What does the word Krishna mean? Prabhupada, Krishna means all attractive, Krishna. Interviewer, would you put those earphones on, Swami? I'll skip that. Okay, he's on the phone. Caller Gargamuni. Hello, Swamiji. Prabhupada, yes. Gargamuni, I'd like to ask a question. Prabhupada, what is that? Gargamuni, what is the human form of life? What is this human life in such a disease condition with war, pestilence, and famine? Prabhupada, these are miserable conditions inflicted by material nature just to remind the conditioned soul that this conditioned life in material nature is not for you. There is another place where you can live very peacefully. Just like in the prison life, there is always infliction of miseries. If in the prison life one is comfortably situated, then he'll never go out. He'll try to live there. So these material inflictions of miseries remind us that this place is not suitable for us. It is not our place. Our place is back to Godhead, back to home. Therefore, these are the reminders that you must leave this place.
Okay, Prabhu, we'll just stop there. Wonderful reading, Prabhu. About Rupa, you want to say something? Oh, you want to say something? Oh, maybe
I
not.
just hated his reading. It was very nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
amazing. So this is
We should notice, I think this is a very early conversation.
yeah,
1968.
yeah, March 12th, 1968, San Francisco. Yes. Jai.
So that's just before I was initiated.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you, Prabhu, for reading very wonderfully. Prabhupada gives the whole basis of Krishna consciousness here. He even, tells about the whole chanting process, about he's the spiritual master. He also comments on the different yogis, Swami, Shiva, Paramananda.
And Maharishi Mahesh Yogi,
Maharishi
who
Mahesh
says
Yogi.
calls himself a guru, but he's not actually a guru.
Yeah. And what else is Srila? Yeah. Yes. And he clearly defines the word Swami. Yeah. And then the various divisions of life, the brahmachari, the grihastha, the vanaprastha, and the sannyas orders. Now what else? Well, any questions, Prabhu? Or Jagannath Das Prabhu, you would like to say anything, Prabhu?
Not now. Thank you.
Okay. So there we go. Let's see what else.
The heavy part makes me think of someone telling a story where they lifted up Prabhupada when he was near departing this world, and they thought he was just a small old man, but they lifted him up and he was extremely heavy.
Jai.
I had that experience.
Okay. So let me just kind of browse through my web feed, see if there's any questions from our devotees online. If they're waiting to ask questions, they can. I'll read it in a few minutes. So let the discussion continue, Prabhu's here. Jagannath Das Prabhu, you can ask any questions, share your realization. Vinayak Prabhu, welcome. Vinayak Prabhu.
Involved in Vinayak Prabhu goes to Srila Prabhupada.
I found a new book that I like about the Vedic Universe.
Okay. Which book is that?
Called Vedic Universe. It was released. The person who wrote it wrote it very recently, but it talks about stuff I like a lot because I was reading about the Sataputta Das and another guy, Dhanavira Das.
Dhanavir, yes.
He's a ISKCON guru.
Yeah, I thought his books would be nice, and I just started reading a little bit of it, and it was just not good. And then I started reading this Vedic Universe book, and the guy talks about both these people and just like looks at their claims and just breaks them apart, and it's great so far.
Breaks them apart, meaning that he elaborates on it more.
Yeah, he elaborates on it, shows why it's wrong, and it kind of connects. Yeah, I like where it's going.
Acha, okay. Try. How many pages is this, and who's the author of it?
Let's look.
Okay.
Vedic Universe. The author is Radha Charan. It is 189 pages.
Okay. Radha
Published
Charan.
2018.
Okay. Do you know who published it?
Might be self-published, independently published, yeah. But
okay.
Very well written and proofread. I hate reading books with spelling errors and stuff.
Okay. Oh, it's nicely done, huh? Excellent. Okay. Let's see if there's any questions. No questions, or just a couple of comments. Let me just share it on the screen here. Rob B. Prabhu, he's always watching our Istagoshti meetings. Only with Krishna we can have eternal life. Hare Krishna. And there's another devotee here says Hare Krishna Pranam. Okay.
Nice.
Let's continue our discussion, Prabhu. Jagannath Das Prabhu, anything else you'd like to share, Rupa Manjari, Narayan Prabhu? Let's go over that. That paper. That
Which paper? Which paper? Oh, that we had from before. Yes, that'd be nice.
You can just discuss that a little bit more. 1 second.
Sort of part by part.
Yeah. Okay, not this one. All right, let me put this up here. Well, a lot of people are saying that we're against Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON society. You know, like, some people that, some of the God brothers. But we're,
how could they possibly say that?
yeah, that's what I explained to them. What they have done with the movement is not actually Prabhupada's movement, right? Like Rupa Manjari Prabhu said, they've created a GBC. What is it called? ISKCON of West Bengal. Is it called? No, GBC of West Bengal.
GBC Society of West Bengal.
Yes. And this was not actually created by Srila Prabhupada.
Nor condoned by him.
No, yes, nor condoned by him.
And the GBC was actually created in 1970. Prabhupada had said there was a sinister movement within our society. He sensed and he said openly that some of the members of the society are self-motivated and sinister, and they're not at all even devotees. So we couldn't imagine, back then we were so enthusiastic, we couldn't imagine who those could possibly be. But when he created the GBC, not one of the 12 that was named, 12 GBC? No.
12, yeah.
Yeah, not one of the 12 GBCs that were named agreed to be elected, even though Prabhupada required that they be elected every 4 years. They never held one election.
So they created a fake GBC, a fake BBT called BBTI, and fake books.
So from the start, they're not listening to their guru, but they want to become gurus.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or at least they wanted to act independently of the guru and run their own business as GBC for money and profit, not for service and spreading Lord Chaitanya's movement.
Yeah, Narayan Prabhu, you said the great sinister movement. That was a letter to Hansadura dated September 2nd, 1970. Prabhupada says, in fact, however, that the great sinister movement is within our society. I have not heard anything from Krishna Das or Shamar Sundar. So all of you try to save the society from this dangerous position. See it on the screen?
What year was it?
This was
66.
September 2nd, 1970.
Oh, 70. Oops.
Yeah, 1970.
September, is that before or after the Prabhupada created the direction of management?
Let's
After.
see. After. Yeah.
So he could tell from that start that they were not going to accept the direction of management.
Yeah. So, yes. Let me go back here.
He warned us, but of course we didn't have what it took to look at our God brothers and say, oh, you're part of this sinister movement within our society.
Now we can see, right?
Yeah, now it's easy to see.
What he
Particularly
says.
since that same sinister movement, 7 years after they refused to be elected as GBC, they poisoned him to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible to see pictures, and these people who murdered him are still just
Oh, yeah.
smiling in photos. It makes me sick.
Well, you know something? I agree with you. And you know what else I will say? It doesn't matter. They're grinning into the mirror of death. There's nothing that you and I can do to stop them from the horrible next birth they're going to take.
They're
So
gonna
if
have
you're saying they got away with it, we know, as devotees, we know that it is not karma. It is not possible to get away with anything, is it?
Right. Right.
So if you cannot get away with stealing a lollipop from a convenience store, how is it possible that you can get away with murdering a guru?
Yeah.
I mean, that would make you and me atheists if we believe that. Why? Because we have to believe that Krishna or God or karma or some force bigger than we are will take care of the whole thing. I mean, why would we imagine that a thief or a murderer, when he dies, goes to the court of Yamaraj, he's judged, and then he's sent to hellish planet or something to suffer? Why would he suffer, which we all know and accept that he will? Why would he suffer and a person murdering this pure devotee would not suffer? And how would we imagine that those people putting up fake gurus all over the place like little gopher holes, how would, with little hedgehogs sticking their necks out of it, how would we know, how can we say that they're not going to have a karmic reaction? I mean, we're all acting as though they're getting away with it. And I would say, and if I may say so, it's because we have a vested interest in wanting a nice, comfortable ISKCON for ourselves. And these guys are screwing it up for us.
Yeah.
But let me only say that a comfortable anything for ourselves is not the mood of a devotee.
Right.
Well
Why do we
said,
want a
John.
comfortable ISKCON for ourselves when that simply means repeated birth and death? We're not going to go back to Godhead based upon what we've done so far. Right? It's not like magic pulling a rabbit out of a hat. We are going to go back to Godhead. We actually, a Vaishnav, Prabhupada was describing how Vaishnav doesn't want this, and the Vaishnav doesn't want that. In Bombay, in morning, it was really quite a lonely situation. There was a group of householders, group of brahmacharis, group of sannyasis, and we were all sitting there, and Prabhupada was saying, and a Vaishnav doesn't want this, and a Vaishnav doesn't want that. And so we were, listening and saying, yeah, we agree. A Vaishnav doesn't want this, a Vaishnav doesn't want that. And they kept on going until finally all the householders were completely in agony, because everything they thought householders could have in the way of sense gratification, Prabhupada was calmly and sincerely stating, and a Vaishnav doesn't want this, a Vaishnav doesn't want that. I can't give you the exact things that they doesn't want, but just imagine all the things that a householder wants. Prabhupada was saying that a Vaishnava doesn't want those things. So the brahmacharis and the sannyasis were smirking and looking at the householders squirming around. Then Prabhupada went even further and said, a Vaishnava doesn't want this and a Vaishnava doesn't want that. By the time he finished, the brahmacharis were squirming. I mean, brahmacharis don't get a lot of free sense gratification. But whatever they imagine is their sense gratification, legitimate sense gratification, Prabhupada very carefully took it away, just the way you take a tumor out of a human body. And they were squirming around, and the sannyasis were grinning their heads off. Okay, so then Srila Prabhupada kept on going. A Vaishnava doesn't want this, a Vaishnava doesn't want that. In the end, the sannyasis were devastated because they don't have any sense gratification. And Prabhupada took away all those things that they thought they could have that were not counted as sense gratification. So Prabhupada took that away. So everybody was sitting there with their eyes bulging out. And we were all thinking, my goodness, if Prabhupada's taken away everything that a Vaishnava could possibly want. This is one of the best stories that's ever occurred within ISKCON, I would like to add. And I was personally, fortunately present. And I don't even know if there's a recording of it. If there were a recording it, you'd hear every detail of the things that Prabhupada said a Vaishnava doesn't want. And so everybody is sitting there thunderstruck. Householders, brahmacharis, sannyasis, all thunderstruck. They could not see straight. They're, completely devastated. Finally, they're thinking. Everybody is thinking, slow, thinking. Oh, what does a Vaishnava want if a Vaishnava doesn't want all these things? What does a Vaishnava actually want? Then gradually, us dumb, karmi, warmed over karmi, brahmacharis and sannyasis, whatever, we came to the right conclusion. And everybody, you could tell, simultaneously was thinking, oh, a Vaishnava wants Krishna. Can I get some response from all of you? Doesn't that make sense?
Jai, yes.
No, it doesn't. Why would a Vaishnava want Krishna?
Hey, well, a Vaishnava worships Vishnu, and Krishna is Vishnu, so why not? So Prabhupada was said nothing. He was just watching us like Parsharama, looking to see if any of the so-called dead Kshatriyas in the field were wiggling so he could shoot them again. And so we finally realized, oh, a Vaishnava wants Krishna. That's a no-brainer. So we all suddenly felt better. Brahmacharis, householders, sannyasis, we all suddenly felt better. Then Prabhupada sat up like a lion, ready to kill. And he roared, and a Vaishnava does not even want Krishna. Well, I won't say that anybody's chin literally hit the floor, but psychologically, every chin in that room hit the floor. And a Vaishnava doesn't even want Krishna. And he paused. And we were devastated. The only thing that was left was Krishna and the Vaishnava. So to what Prabhupada said, and this is one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard anyone say, particularly Prabhupada. He said, a Vaishnava does not even want Krishna. A Vaishnava is thinking, who am I to associate with Krishna? Let him play with gopis and let me stay here and serve him. You like that?
Very nice.
Let him play with gopis. So we can take into account that our job is not to associate with Krishna. Our job is to serve him here on earth. How long? Well, we could say 10,000 years. I mean, if you want to go back to Godhead sooner than that, good luck. Maybe you will. But let's just say our span of time in front of us is 10,000 years, and let's serve Krishna and see what happens next, let's say. Wouldn't that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right.
So let Krishna play with gopis and let us stay here and serve him.
Jai.
He said, let me stay here and serve him. Do you like that story?
Excellent story.
And it was 4 in the
Yeah,
morning.
that is the actual role of a servant. You know, he does not want anything from the master. He constantly is serving. So whatever the master wills, the servant carries
Yeah.
out. So why would a devotee want anything from Krishna, right? But it's
Yeah.
very for a
So what
condition.
does a devotee? Well, you said let me stay here and serve him. A devotee does want something. He wants service of Krishna. He wants to serve Krishna.
He wants to serve Krishna, but he's not dictating
But-
orders to Krishna. Like
He's not chalking up on his sleeve
yeah,
all the marks of how much he served Krishna. And so when he goes back to Godhead, when he's 100 marks on his sleeve,
yeah,
it's not like that.
Chai.
It might be like that for a waiter in a restaurant, but it's not like that for a devotee of Krishna.
Yeah. Okay, let's see here. I wanted to share something. Where is it? Okay, any let's see. There's a devotee named Anubhavananda. He's watching from Florida. He was in California not too long ago, so he moved out there. Thank you,
Oh,
Prabhu.
Joy.
Thank you, Prabhu, for watching.
Jai Shri Krishna, Haribo.
He wrote a wonderful poem that I'd like to share here. 1 second.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. 1 second here. Okay, I'm trying to find it. So you guys can continue the discussion, Prabhus. Let me just try to find it.
So we need to understand that the golden age of Kali is 10,000 years. And then we ask ourselves, well, we know that Krishna's here now. We know that Krishna sent Srila Prabhupada. So will Krishna be here 10,000 years from now? What do you think? What does anyone want to say?
Krishna's everywhere.
And he'll be there 10,000 years from now,
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Right? Okay, now Prabhupada is a pure devotee. He is Krishna's confidential servant. When he came here, everything Prabhupada, everything that was recorded, everything that was put on books, everything that was said by Prabhupada, that was coming from Krishna. Do we agree?
Yes.
And why do we agree? Because Prabhupada said when he reads his own books, he reads them and he said, I dictated the book, but it was being dictated really by Krishna. And so when I read the book, I get to experience Krishna in the book that I'm reading. These are his books. And one devotee, were sort of teasing Prabhupada by saying, oh, Prabhupada, if you're not here, how do I understand he said, read my books. And he said, and if I reach a part in the book which I don't understand, Prabhupada said, read it again. But he said, everything I am present. What was he said? What's the exact quote? I am in my books.
I don't remember, sorry.
Oh. Well, he was saying, everything I have said is in my books, and you will read and utilize. He made it clear that he was present in his books. You will read and utilize. Well, if he's present in his books, isn't he also present in his recorded kirtans.
Yeah.
Isn't that an interesting idea? Is Prabhupada present in his recorded kirtans? And if you stop to think of it, if Prabhupada was channeling Krishna, to use a psychic term, if Prabhupada was delivering Krishna consciousness from Krishna to us as a transparent via medium, then that means when he was chanting, his chanting was coming from Krishna in Krishna Loka through him to us. And since Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, he reasons ill who say Vaishnavas die when thou art living still and sound. Vaishnavas die to live, and living spread the holy life around. Well, then can we not understand that Prabhupada is fully present in his recorded kirtans? And if we study, what?
We accept that, but people who are sold out to the gurus are brainwashed that Prabhupada's dead and gone.
Well, so what? I mean, there's a lot of people that are sold out to all sorts of things, aren't they? There's people that are sold out to Chevrolets and people that are sold out to Fords. We don't have control over that. What we do have control over is what we do.
Yeah, it's a very good point. What do we do and how we think?
And my experience recently is there are devotees who, hearing that I was saying, or we were saying, that Prabhupada is present in his kirtan, have picked up headphones, put them on, and started studying Prabhupada's kirtans without being asked. Now, I would say, what if you had one kirtan with 20 headphones tuned to the same kirtan, so that people are listening to that kirtan for a couple of hours a day, and then it's time for the kirtan in the temple, they take off their headphones, chant. How are they going to chant? Won't they chant the way they heard?
Yes.
Does it make sense?
Yes.
Won't they chant the way they heard? Now, if people start doing that, supposing you had like 10 temples with people with 20 devotees each, and that's all they did was listen to Prabhupada and repeat it for Prabhupada in the kirtan, and then they go out in the street and chant and collect and distribute books and magazines, and they chant just like Prabhupada in the streets. How long would it take for people that are following those bogus gurus to want to do that too? I mean, it would be so absolutely relishable.
Okay.
Why would they want to go with the Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare?
That's funny. Hare Krishna.
He said, Guru Maharaj, would you stop busting a gut? I'm going to go and chat with those people. They sound better than you do.
Okay.
It's really horrible. And when they go out on Sankirtan in the street, they are so self-conscious that they stare at each other. A group of 20 stand there and stare at each other wearing their devotee and non-devotee clothes, and they're dancing back and up and down and back and forth. And so they're staring at each other. What do the people in the street see? They see a bunch of butts wiggling around in front of their eyes. Now, is that the way Lord Chaitanya intended Sankirtan to occur?
No.
So, I mean, when we see pictures of Lord Chaitanya chanting and dancing in the streets, it's not a bunch of butts sticking in the faces of the audience, is it?
No.
Well, look what they're doing. So what do you got there?
Okay, this is the poem by Anubhavananda Das. He's a Prabhupada disciple, titled Step Gently. So it's very nice. Well, I'll share it. And then
What?
It's a poem by Anubhavananda Prabhu titled Step Gently. So let me fix
Step
this.
gently?
Yes.
And be sure if you're going to read it, be sure to read it with utmost clarity.
Here. I'm not going to read it. He's reading it about his poem.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
then you better read it the way he wants to hear it, have it heard.
This is him.
Step gently through your days. Step gently through your nights. Forget the past now sleeping, nor trust the future beyond sight. Clasp the time within your grasp to remember who is giving the light you have to find your way and the life that you are living. He lives within our hearts, and behold its constant hand at every moment, every step, to help you understand. His love still awaits you when our other loves depart. For your sincere and tear-filled eyes and pleading open hearts, take me, I am yours, for whatever you desire. For you alone are all I need, the only one to take me higher.
So that is.
Aye, how
Uh-huh.
beautiful.
Let's hear it one more time.
Step gently through your days. Step gently through your nights. Forget the past now sleeping, nor trust the future beyond sight. Clasp the time within your grasp to remember who is giving the light you have to find your way and the life that you are living. He lives within our hearts, and behold its constant hand at every moment, every step, to help you understand. His love still awaits you when our other loves depart. For your sincere and tear-filled eyes and pleading open hearts, take me, I am yours, for whatever you desire. For you alone are all I need, the only one to take me higher.
Joy.
So that is Anubhavananda. He's a wonderful poet. Huh?
And where is he located?
He was in Los Angeles, but now they moved to Florida. So he keeps sending me these wonderful poems about Srila Prabhupada and Krishna consciousness.
Joy.
Nice.
Very nice.
All right, let's see what do we have here. Okay. All right. So let me see if there's any questions. 1 second. Okay. No questions. So let me share the screen and then we'll read this. All right. Okay, how do you want to do this now, Narayan Prabhu? It's a long.
Well, I would recommend that somebody who can read,
Rupa.
is a good reader.
Yeah.
Our new Prabhu is certainly a good reader. Read down until you get to the end of the concept and then discuss it.
Okay.
If it looks as though it could be discussed.
So I guess we can read up to here. And then
Something
we'll
like that.
yeah. Okay, Rupa, can you read up to here, the decades part?
Sure.
You want, Prabhu?
No matter how many bogus gurus sit themselves on the holy seat of Vyas, they will send out kirtan for a price and will help deliver the fallen souls in a very minimal way. And for that, we thank them. This system of bogus gurus will not survive years, what do speak of decades. It is truly mind-boggling to imagine what they think ISKCON will be like in 500 years, considering that they can barely keep afloat in our present years and the beginnings to decades.
Okay. So Narayan Prabhu, I have a question for you.
Yes.
You're saying here they will send out kirtan for a price. What do you mean by this?
Well, they're not doing it for free.
Oh, yeah. Actually, there is a band coming to Sacramento, and they're charging $50 a ticket to go see this lady chant Hare Krishna.
Well,
Wow.
that's what I'm saying.
So is that what you're saying? They will send out kirtan for a price, and they have supposedly
Yeah.
put, oh,
No
we'll
matter
use this.
how many bogus gurus sit themselves on the holy seat of Vyas, they will send out kirtans for a price. In other words, they're sitting on the holy seat of Vyas, but they're not giving out free kirtan. They will do it for a price.
Yeah. And they're saying apparently this $50 will go towards the building of a future ISKCON temple in Sacramento. I was like, come on, guys, what is this selling kirtan and trying to have, people give money to your bogus GBC of West Bengal temple, it was just pathetic. So that's what you mean. Okay, that is clear. And then you said, and will help deliver the fallen souls in a very minimal way. So how can someone who's selling kirtan, for example, here in Sacramento, they have a woman coming and chanting. She's apparently very famous. So that's why they're utilizing her to gather some money and crowd.
Well, she will help. If you utter the holy name of Krishna, there's some benefit from chanting, but in a very minimal way, meaning next to nothing. You see, very minimal means not much.
Right.
So I'm taking a little bit of different view. I'm not saying, oh, evil, bogus gurus. No, how can I say evil, bogus gurus? They're taking so much trouble to chant and whatnot. But how potent is the chanting?
Yeah.
Well, not very potent. How much benefit will people get by hearing it? Well, they'll get a little benefit from hearing it. So let's celebrate. But is it worth the huge expense? Is it worth the fanfare? Is it worth stealing the movement from Srila Prabhupada?
Absolutely.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Say, but if we thank them, why? Because they're chanting Hare Krishna. Even if 0.1% is benefited, if they 1% of the kirtan will benefit the hearer and the chanter, well, that's better than nothing, isn't it?
Yes.
But we're not looking at better than nothing. We want
perfection,
full potency.
Yes.
Now, full potency can be had instantly from hearing Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
And if people listen through headphones and repeat what they hear, well, 75 or 80% potency will be heard by them chanting what they've heard. And it may increase with time. It won't be 100% immediately because Prabhupada is 100%,
Yes.
But it will definitely be more than nothing.
Okay, then you say this system of bogus gurus will not survive years, what to speak of decades. It is truly mind-boggling to imagine what they think ISKCON will be like in 500 years, considering they can barely keep afloat in our present years and the beginning 2 decades. So, so what are you referring this to?
Okay.
You're saying
this system of bogus gurus will not survive years. I mean, look at them. What is going to keep them afloat? How long are people going to be willing to be sold down the river when they could have Prabhupada instead?
Yeah, right.
What happened to the...
1 second. Someone entered it, screwed up my screen. Hold on.
Okay.
Let me go back to, what's going on here? There we go. Yeah. This system of gurus, bogus gurus, will not survive years, what to speak of decades. It is truly mind-boggling to imagine what they think ISKCON will be like in 500 years, considering that they can barely keep afloat in our present years and the beginning 2 decades.
Yeah, I would suggest, I mean, I'm a person that's organized businesses. I've done big projects for big clients and stuff like that. I cannot imagine the way they're going about being devotees and having kirtans that it will last for long. When I was doing art restoration projects, I had to think, will this restoration work that I'm doing last 1,000 years?
Ah,
So I have to think about that. I have to plan that. These guys can't plan that. They can't even plan for next week.
Small mind, small vision.
Exactly. But big desire to put money in the pocket.
picked money in the pocket.
So I mean, if we were talking with a very nice GBC member who's an organizer of the GBC, who are admittedly running into big problems that they can't solve because they can't stick together. They can't understand how to stay together in one group. Anyhow, we said to him, wouldn't it be better to start thinking, what would it be like? Would you like ISKCON to be like in 500 years from now? And he practically squeaked. He said, 500 years? I can barely think what it would be like for 5 weeks. Right? You remember that conversation?
Yes, I remember that.
Wow.
So I mean, he's a wonderful devotee. But if you can't think 500 out of 10,000 years, you're not going. What is it said? You're going nowhere fast. You've
Yeah.
heard that expression. You're going nowhere fast.
Mhm.
He's going nowhere fast. He can't figure out what to do
Right now.
for 5 weeks, and we're dealing with a problem. Now, if I was an art restorer, but if I was a contractor contracting, how, Mr. Zakheim, how can you make this painting last for 10,000 years? I could do it because I know how to do it. I know what it takes, what materials would be required. I would know what would prevent it from fading. I know all of the things required to keep that painting going for 10,000 years. So it's not surprising that I'm interested in the 10,000 years of the golden age of Kali, because quite frankly, that's my training, that's my background. Making things last for a long period of time.
Right.
This conversation right now is the first time it's ever occurred to me that that's why I'm so concerned about the golden age of Kali and ISKCON lasting 10,000 years, because that's what I've had to do my whole 60 years of my career, how to make a painting last that long.
Yeah, that was what Prabhupada was doing also. He was very concerned about the future. That's why he wrote the Direction of Management. He gave very elaborate instructions on the BBT, how it's supposed to be separate, and the whole,
Yeah,
ISKCON
and
movement.
all of that can still be done,
Yes.
but it's going to take some engineering.
Yes.
I would say the first thing to do is expose the GBC. Look at the child molestation. Look at the lawsuits. Look at all the criminals. Look at all the abused women. Look at all the stuff that they've done, or that's been done under their wings.
Right.
Just like the Catholic Church is now facing some unbelievable multi-million-dollar lawsuits
Practically
because
every
of
day.
the priests
Yeah.
molesting the children.
Yes.
Well, ISKCON has the same problem. And what is that problem? They're covering up the molestation of children because they don't want the institution and the clergy to look bad. That the children are destroyed, they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. Molest a child, destroy his life. They don't care. So that's happened to this guy also. So at this point, we need to start thinking, expose them for these crimes. If you expose them enough, it will make them look like fools. For instance, what was the name of that yogi? Do you remember? Rupa?
Sai Baba. Sai Baba.
Yeah, Satya Sai Baba. Satya Sai Baba got exposed for being a pedophile. He was a hermaphrodite also, but I don't know if that got exposed, but a hermaphrodite pedophile. Do you know what happened? He lost half of his disciples, which meant he lost around 5 million disciples.
The more amazing thing is that they kept half.
I'm sorry?
It's just so surprising too that people still stayed. Like they're just so uninformed or just.
Yeah, you know, they all had ways of passing it off and making it seem better than it was, and you know how it is.
You can still see his billboard in some places.
Do people stop going to the Catholic Church because children are winning $100 million lawsuits? They keep going.
Yes,
they keep going. The sacraments. They keep drinking Jesus' blood and eating his body in the form of bread. You know, I mean,
right.
They're still doing it. So that's was the mentality there. And on top of it, the government was very much behind much of what he was doing. He was organizing things for the government. But that's not our main topic here.
Yeah.
Our main topic is that the main topic is that he lost half of his disciples. Can you imagine if we exposed the GBC in the same way he was exposed? How many disciples will they lose? It would be simpler. Our standards are much higher than his. What happened to the text?
Okay, so let's continue then. We got about.
Okay, yeah, okay. Are we okay with it so far?
Yeah.
I think we pretty well hit the nail on the head, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay, so, keep going.
They're not pure devotees, and for that reason, they will not be able to fully deliver their initiates. And when they die, they must deal with the number of human karmas they have taken on, with little or no ability to transfer this karma back to Godhead. So yeah, the Kanishta Adhikari devotees and the Madhyam Adhikari devotees are not recommended. They are not to initiate because.
And why not? Why not? What is wrong with their guidance?
Their guidance is insufficient. Srila Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Instruction, verse 5. Because of insufficient guidance, the disciples cannot progress more than their spiritual master.
And we're saying Madhyam Adhikaris. I will tell you, I've been in ISKCON movement for many years. I have not yet found a Madhyam Adhikari. They're all Kanishta Adhikaris. And they're very jolly and happy to be that too. They have no problem with being Kanishta Adhikaris.
Yeah, dealing with karmas of other living entities, unless you're a pure devotee and Uttama Adhikari, you know, there's no way in hell you're going to be able to digest it.
Exactly. So Srila Prabhupada was able to take the karma, transfer it up the Sampradaya to Krishna.
Yes.
These guys can't do that because they have no real connection with Krishna.
Yes. Yeah.
If they had a real connection with Krishna, they would be totally different people.
And
they
if
might appear to be Madhyam Adhikaris.
And even if they did have a connection with Krishna, they would have been able to do something amazing instead of leeching from Prabhupada's institution, you know, becoming their.
What they really are is, it's just like the Catholic Church is not Jesus. I mean, if you say Jesus is Jesus, and he was saintly, and he could offer some help to people in various ways, healing the sick and other nice deeds, that's fine. But what if you go to the Catholic Church, all you have is priests that might molest your kid?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not as though these priests. So what has the GBC done? They have taken priests and called them gurus. And so they're trusting that if the priest in the Catholic Church gives you the sacred communion or something, it's understood that that communion will go up and somehow or other get to Jesus or God or somewhere, go somewhere and does something, right?
Yes.
But in ISKCON, they're not able to accomplish that.
Yes, let me check if there's any comments or questions or realizations on
Yep.
online. Mahaprabhu, welcome.
Mahaprabhu Jai.
Mahaprabhu's here. Or at least it seems his Zoom user is here. So, okay, there's no comments or questions, so let's continue.
Okay.
All right. Let's see here, share screen. Okay, where were we? We're gonna go up to, let's go up to here. Why does Srila Prabhupada not take on the karma of those that they initiate, as he did when he personally performed initiations or authorized initiations to be held in his behalf by officiating acharyas who performed initiations for the bulk of his movement, more than 5,000 disciples by the time he entered Samadhi? Sentence is kind of weird. I'm going to try to digest what you're saying here. Why does Srila Prabhupada not take on the karma of those?
Why did Srila Prabhupada not take on the karma of those? Yeah. What I meant, why does Srila Prabhupada not take on the karma of those who succeeded him that initiate as he did when he was personally performed the initiation for authorized initiations to be held in his behalf by officiating acharyas? That is a little confusing.
Yeah, what are you saying, Prabhu? I'm not. You're saying Prabhupada.
Okay. Prabhupada created a system of officiating acharyas.
Yes.
And whoever performs a fire sacrifice for the officiating acharya, that person is Prabhupada's disciple.
Yes.
When did Prabhupada start doing that? He started that in around 1970.
Yeah.
And because when Prabhupada entered Samadhi, he had over 5,000 disciples. Now, just realistically, considering how much Prabhupada traveled, considering how all the lectures Prabhupada gave, and the kirtans that he held, how many disciples could he possibly have performed fire sacrifices for? And how many beads could he have chanted on out of 5,000? I mean, it's a huge number, right?
Yeah, it's a huge number, yes.
So what it boils down to is that he had officiating acharyas doing the fire sacrifices. So from 1970 onward, then in 1960, July 9th letter, Kamal tried to change the title of officiating charya into Ritik. If you read the July 9th letter, it doesn't say Ritvik, it says Ritik, R-I-T-T-I-K. Whatever that is, because it doesn't even appear in Prabhupada's writing. Ritik. Ritik is an obscure term.
Okay, then let's continue our reading then. Is
Yes.
Okay, so you're basically saying in 1970, Srila Prabhupada, or a little, 1970 approximately, he had officiating acharyas perform initiations on behalf of himself as officiating acharyas.
Yeah.
Okay,
And so that system, Prabhupada wanted that system to continue.
Right.
And in May 28th, he said that. In the July 9th letter, he said that. And then the people who took over, having poisoned him to death, they wanted to use a different term. I don't even like mentioning the term they wanted to use, but they wanted to use another term. But officiating acharya is what Prabhupada chose, and that's a thing that we, as disciples of Prabhupada, can choose to use his terms, not the terms of those who poisoned him to death.
Okay, so what about the bogus gurus who have fallen down due to having taken on the karma of so many lifetimes of those who they initiated? They accepted the full karma of dozens or even hundreds, and in some cases thousands of disciples, without being able to fully transfer the karma of the initiates. Rohini Kumar, who was a strict brahmachari who I knew from 1968 in New York temple, we became friends, and I followed his interesting trajectory into temples as a brahmachari over the several years. When he became an When he became an ISKCON bogus guru, he was so sincere and transcendently loving. He alone practically proved that the new bogus guru system was working. Was working? Did I read it right?
Yeah. That, in other words, he did it so nicely that it seemed nice
at the start.
Okay. Then he began to initiate homosexual disciples and also began to take on their full lives karma. After a few years, he was fully transformed into a homosexual, having been saturated by homosexuality by his disciples, with whom his unusual sensitive nature and attracted them, and he gave them freedom from their former homosexual karma. But being a bogus guru, he was not able to transfer their several dozens of homosexual life experiences, and he took on to become their guru and to deliver them from repeated birth and death. He took on their karma, all right, but could not transfer it up to the disciplic succession to free himself from the karma he had took on.
Didn't we already read this?
No.
Oh yeah, we did read it, but Narayan Prabhu suggested we read it and then have a discussion.
Yeah, we read it. We didn't read it today. So do you see? This is an example of a very nice devotee who took on the karma of people. What sort of karma did he take on? He took on the karma of homosexuals. They were sensitive. They were peaceful, and a lot of brahmacharis and a lot of people that didn't like the other gurus took initiation from him.
Right.
Guru coolies took initiation. But I mentioned the homosexuals because in the end, he became completely saturated by whatever it takes for a person to be a homosexual. And they, of course, became somewhat relieved from their homosexual karma, but he had to take it on. And as you read further, what happened is that he ended up joining a homosexual commune and covering his body with homosexual tattoos. Just like that. Rupa or anybody, do you know what the group is? I think they sing YMCA.
The village people.
Were they a homosexual group?
Maybe. LGBTQTXY?
Yeah.
Something. They have new names for these crazy groups. Okay, let's go back to our reading then. So, okay. So he became a classic homosexual, left ISKCON and joined a group almost exactly like the group famous for a song that they created. I saw photos of him with homosexual tattoos on his arms and body, and, of course, no sign of a japa bag or neck beads anywhere to be seen. He he was my beloved friend, and he was truly naturally asexual. I mention this case because it is clearly easier to understand due to his initial purity. So you see here that anyone who is a conditioned soul who takes up karmas of a number of living beings, human beings, and if they are very sinful or not very sinful, but if you stack loads of them, eventually you either become one of them or you fall down from your spiritual platform or spiritual position.
Now, if those same homosexuals who they gave up homosexuality, they gave up they renounced it. I don't know if they stayed devotees or stayed free from homosexuality, but in order to take initiation, they actually gave it up. They became the brahmacharis. So, considering that they did that, excuse me, considering that they did that, supposing that they had come to the temple commander or the temple pujari and said they want to take initiation, and he performed a initiation as an officiating acharya, and they would then become disciples of Prabhupada, not Rohini Kumar. They would become disciples of Prabhupada, right? And the karma would go up through the Sampradaya and be burned up in the course of the sacred fire. The sacred fire is designed to burn up karma, but it cannot burn up karma if the person performing the sacred fire isn't pure. And in the case of the officiating acharya, they may not be pure. They may be just, advanced Kinasatakaris. But if they perform the sacrifice as officiating acharyas, then ISKCON takes on the karma and burns it up. And the disciple then is, if he's homosexual guys, if they stay pure, then they are successful. If they don't stay pure, then like so many brahmacharis, they fall down. But the process is at least perfect and pure. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Does anyone not understand? Are we okay? So, Ramachandra, do you want to continue?
Okay, I just like to divert some. I looked up the word karma, and I'd like to read what Prabhupada says here about karma. So,
very good.
Okay. Let's see, karma. Let's see. Okay, yeah, let me read it. So we can see some.
Yeah, you could also look up initiation ceremony if you wanted to.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that next. So here, Prabhupada, this is a lecture in 1966, in December 29, New York. This is very early in the movement. Okay, Srila Prabhupada says, "Oh, we have not discussed just now Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga. Karma Yoga is meant. Yoga, first thing, yoga means linking, connecting. So any yoga, there are many different kinds of yoga, and yoga means linking oneself with the Supreme." Then Prabhupada goes on to say, so those who are too much addicted to karma means work. Just like we see in your New York City, everyone is busy with karma. Karma means you do something, there is some result, and you enjoy or suffer. that is called karma. They are doing business. They are doing so many things. That is result. So karma has an effect. So it may be good or bad. So one has to enjoy or suffer. So those who are too much addicted to karma activities, when those activities are done with yoga, yoga means linking with the Supreme, that is called karma yoga. Okay. Prabhupada clears up the word karma.
Yes.
And when you link it up with karma yoga, Krishna, what is it?
Bhakti yoga.
Bhakti yoga. It is called karma yoga. Okay, Prabhupada says, so those who are too much addicted to karma activities, when those activities are done with yoga, yoga means linking with the Supreme, that is called karma yoga. So what would be an example of karma yoga?
Charity, giving charity.
To who?
Brahmins.
Okay. Would that be considered karma yoga? Narayan Prabhu? It's saying
I'm
people,
looking. Karma yoga?
I'm talking about specifically this part.
Could be many different things, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure this is exactly where applying to what we were talking about, actually.
Yeah, I'm posing a question here. So Prabhupada says, so karma has an effect, so it may be good or bad. So one has to enjoy or suffer. So those who are too much addicted to this karma activities, when those activities are done with yoga, yoga means linking with the Supreme, that is called karma yoga.
Yeah, so it means that whatever your duty or task, or like a mother nursing her child or a man working at his job, that's all karma. And when he does it and gives the fruits to Krishna, that's karma yoga.
Jai, okay, that's clear. Okay, devotee, isn't bhakti yoga is not the same? Bhakti yoga, karma yoga is almost the same. Bhakti yoga is direct. Bhakti yoga is that bhaktas, they are not addicted to karma, but they're simply addicted to the service of the Lord. That service of the Lord and ordinary work sometimes appear one and the same, just like they are typewriting. Your mother was also asking the other day, oh, you have got a dictaphone. Yes. Oh, why do you have this materialism bad? And we are spiritualizing this. You have produced this material things, we are spiritualizing. So people would say that, all these material things, you Krishna consciousness people are enjoying. Like, for example, we're sitting on a computer, talking over the internet, and they were talking about Krishna consciousness. These things are made for a purpose, right? For their so-called business or whatever you call it. But by utilizing it in Krishna conscious activities, Prabhupada says we are spiritualizing it. Isn't that what he's saying here?
Yes.
Okay.
But the main thing to remember is that the officiating acharya, when he performs the initiation ceremony, the karma gets burned up in the sacred fire, because that is Prabhupada's authorized way of accepting and purifying a disciple at the beginning of his spiritual life. That's in initiation.
So the disciple who gets initiated, his karma gets completely wiped out, and then if he disobeys the order of the spiritual master, karma kicks in again, right?
Well, some of it, yeah, it depends. As much as he disobeys, that much kicks in.
Yeah, I was listening to a incident with Jai Tirtha. He had his head chopped off in England, was it?
Yeah.
by one of his disciples, right?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That was pretty instantaneous karma, right? I mean,
Well,
whatever.
it wasn't very instantaneous. I mean, he was a kirtan, very charismatic. He was on LSD, so when he chanted Hare Krishna, he was very charismatic. And his disciple, who ended up killing him, loved him with his whole heart, beyond imagination, just insanely loved him. And then the man also had, who loved his Jayatirath, had a wife whom he loved with great devotion also. Let's just say this guy was capable of a lot of love. And he loved his wife. And Jayatirath seduced the man's wife. So the man was stuck. My beloved guru is now having sex with my beloved wife. And he couldn't handle that.
Right.
So, loving his guru with his whole heart, he went to where his guru was and cut off his head and sat with his bleeding head in his lap until the police arrived.
Yeah, this fall down of Jayatirath started. I was listening to the memories of Srila Prabhupada, so that gave me some insight on Jayatirath. Apparently, Ishan Prabhu was directly instructed by Srila Prabhupada to make mridangars, and then Prabhupada instructed Jayatirath, you arranged for Ishan Prabhu to have all his equipment, this and that made, and apparently Jayatirath did not do that, meaning that he purposefully disobeyed Srila Prabhupada's instruction back in 1970 something, before his head got chopped off. So I saw that, okay, yeah, this really makes sense. He directly disobeyed the orders of the spiritual master. And then, eventually, he became.
But that's not why his head was chopped off.
No, that was not.
Chopped off for having violated the marriage of his disciple.
Yeah, that, but you can't. I mean, he disobeyed.
You don't mess with anybody. You don't mess with anybody's wife. In the Vedic standard, there's a certain number of people that can be killed without any punishment involved. In other words, according to the Shastras,
Manu
you can kill a person
without incurring any sin. Yes.
Why don't you recite them?
No, Prabhupada says this. Someone who steals your wife, you can, immediately kill him, or comes to steal your property.
Anyone who burns your house, seduces your wife, and there's a few others.
Steal your property or something, yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know. And that is just considered to be
a death sentence.
Yeah. I mean, the person doesn't have to kill the person, but he's entitled to kill the person without any punishment whatsoever. So that guy, it depends on exactly how that situation evolved with her having sex with their guru, of all things, to make it more complicated. We don't know what really happened, but if it was him asking her and her feeling obliged because he was the guru, then it makes it even worse, because it's not an ordinary seduction. It is obedience to what you perceive to be your spiritual master as a disciple of Prabhupada.
Okay, let's continue our reading here. Let's see, where are we? I mean, that's the history of the bogus gurus, They do all kinds of weird nonsense. Okay, we got some questions here. Let's see. I gotta read them over before we end at 10 o'clock. So let's share. Okay. Let's see. Anubhavananda says, thanks to you for reading my poem. So Rob B asked the question, so how do we get rid of our karma if all the ISKCON gurus are bogus? That's a good question. How do we get rid of our karmas if all the
You
ISKCON...
already know how to get rid of your karma. You get rid of your karma by chanting Hare Krishna.
Right.
Now, in terms of
People
going
want to
further
dump.
with that, where do you get the guru? Well, the Prabhupada instituted officiating acharyas, and those officiating acharyas can initiate anyone as a Prabhupada disciple through the fire sacrifice. And you can also become a Brahmin initiate, and you can also have a death ceremony, a Shraddha ceremony. You can also get married. All of these things can be done by a
Officiating acharya.
officiating acharya who's a twice-born devotee.
Jai.
Brahmin initiation.
Okay, there we go. And Lakshmi Prabhu is saying, I offer my humble obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. And Aristo, our dear friend Prabhu, is saying Hare Krishna. And Lakshmi also asks a question. Tomorrow I have an appointment to introduce Tulsi to the zoo director in Hillcrest Zoo in Clovis, New Hampshire. Would Prabhupada approve of a devotee using a zoo facility to introduce Krishna consciousness?
I don't get the picture.
They're saying tomorrow I have an appointment to introduce Tulsi to the zoo director.
Tulsi?
Yeah.
LSI?
Yeah.
Not the Congressman Tulsi.
No, not the Congressman Tulsi. So she's asking, would Prabhupada approve of a devotee using a zoo facility to introduce Krishna consciousness?
Well, that's two different questions, isn't it?
Yeah, she's trying to introduce Tulsi, and then she's trying to...
Well, Tulsi should not be put in a place where Tulsi is not worshipped. Now, if she brings a Tulsi there, arranges with the zoo that she can come every day and perform Tulsi Puja and dress the deity and put flowers, garlands, that would be nice. But is that what she's proposing to do? Or she's simply thinking, take Tulsi in a pot or put her in the ground and there should be until some cow comes along and eats her.
Okay.
So, I mean, I would say if Tulsi is going to be worshipped there by her, that would be nice. But if you're not going to worship Tulsi, that's
better not do
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Tulsi would create offenses against Tulsi.
Yes.
Okay, what's next?
Would an example of karma yoga be Jehovah's Witnesses serving God to inherit a paradise? No.
What?
We were talking about engaging our duty in Krishna consciousness, having it called karma yoga. So she's asking a question, would an example of karma yoga be Jehovah's Witnesses serving God to inherit a paradise?
Well, if Jehovah's Witnesses serve God, for it to be karma yoga, they would have to be vegetarian Jehovah's Witnesses, and they would have to serve God according to Guru Shastra Sastra.
Yeah, Guru Sadhu Shastra, yes.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why a Jehovah's Witness should not offer incense and whatnot to as a devotee. But I mean, for them to get, what would be the basis of them getting some benefit?
Yeah, that's a good question to her.
Yeah, so what was the question once again?
Would an example of karma yoga be Jehovah's Witnesses serving God to inherit a paradise? Everyone
Oh,
wants.
I see. That's a different sort of question.
Yeah.
Would the Jehovah's Witnesses serving God be an example of
Karma yoga,
karma yoga?
because they're serving God and trying to get people to inherit a paradise.
Well, shall we say, are we talking about vegetarian Jehovah's Witnesses?
Yeah, that's a good question. Or a
There's no reason why a Jehovah's Witness cannot serve God. But for the Jehovah's Witness to do karma yoga means that they have to follow the Dharma of the Vedic Dharma, not just Jehovah's Witness Dharma.
Right. Sure. And then she says, I think I used to clean the area that happened in New Vrindavan up from the art studio. I don't know what she's saying, but
Say it again.
she's saying a comment. I think I used to clean the area.
Clean?
Yeah, clean the area that happened at New Vrindavan up from the art studio, question mark. I don't know what she's saying here.
No, it doesn't seem like a complete concept.
Yeah. And Robbie saying, I appreciate your answering my question.
Yeah, you could say that if you want an answer to the second question there, she needs to rephrase it.
Yes. Okay, so we got about 8 minutes, Prabhu. So let me see here what else I have. Okay, Mahaprabhu, are you there? We'd like to hear from you if you're there. Vinayak Prabhu is here, but he's not saying anything. Jagannath Das Prabhu, any realizations you'd like to share, comments, questions?
Not now. Thank you, though.
No problem. All right. Let's see here.
By the way, I want to say, Jagannath Das, I really appreciate the way you approach ideas and the way you read. So please don't hesitate to take part and share your views also. I realize you're new on this thing, but on our Isagosti, but when you become more familiar, we fully expect you to say, ask, and share, because Isagosti means a jiva speaking openly to other jivas.
Jai.
No body is in Isagosti, just jivas, pure spirit soul.
Definitely.
And of course, we're conditioned souls, so we will make it hard for us to do. But at the same time, we should think along that line. So we appreciate you considering ahead. How would you like to participate as a participant, not just as a reader, listener, which is fine right now. There's no problem there whatsoever. So go ahead, Ramachandraji.
Okay. So I was just looking at Facebook. There is no comments on our Facebook. Okay, Vinayak Prabhu saying, sorry, Prabhu, I was in the office, could not participate properly. That's okay, Vinayak Prabhu. We understand.
Yes, we offer our obeisances to you.
Chai.
No matter what.
Sorry. Okay. Let me see.
You want to read another section? Do we have time?
Okay. Yeah, there's a comment. Okay, this one last question we'll address here. I'm gonna share my screen here, then we'll end it.
Sure.
Minutes. There's a question here by Radhe Sham. Prabhuji, I'm a student of class 9. How can I manage Krishna Bhakti and study? Please tell me how to score good marks in my study, and how can I achieve or Sachi Bhakti?
So, Ramachandra, why don't you answer the question?
How can I manage Krishna Bhakti and study? Please tell me how to score good marks and I can do Bhakti. Well, you should study your material education what does it say? And well, by maintaining your Krishna consciousness, you can chant Hare Krishna, listen to Srila Prabhupada, and read his original books. And to have good marks, you can study your books very nicely.
And then chanting will enhance your intelligence so that your study will go better also.
Yeah, very simple. Read Prabhupada's books, and that will enhance your intelligence to understand whatever the books are talking about, and you'll have good marks.
Yeah, because the Siddhanta of Prabhupada's books are such that when you go into the topic of your education, it won't be things you have to ponder and think and look around all sorts of. You'll get more of what is called Siddhanta, or a centralized conclusion that will be very nutritious to your mental process.
Okay. Arishta Prabhu says the USA is in a cataclysmic state of decline. The 10,000 Years League is needed now to save humanity from self-destruction.
Is Rupa Manjari still here?
Yeah.
I'm here.
God, my goodness, we want to hear your voice.
And one last question from Radhesham. Prabhuji, please tell me how to control anger. How do we control anger here?
By chanting.
Rupa Manjari answer that. She's a peaceful person.
By chanting Hare Krishna and by just surrendering yourself to Krishna.
Jai. Very simple.
That's lovely. Beautiful.
And the slight thing is become a vegetarian if you're not.
Yeah.
And then
we got too much testosterone roaming around in this conversation. So we need Rupa Manjari to provide needed feminine touch.
Jai, okay. Haribol. Okay, our next meeting will be on Wednesday and Thursday, 8 p.m. California time. Anyone can participate. Send us a message if you'd like to participate, or join the WhatsApp group, which is in the link of the video. And then you can come in contact with us. Okay, so any last concluding words, Narayan Prabhu?
So I think that everyone is very good. Thank you for going through that document. The whole idea is to try to change our present point of view. That's the point of anytime we read something. It's not so that we'll say, yeah, I agree, yeah, that's fine. It's to change our point of view and to enhance our point of view. So if we can do anything like that in this Istagosti, you can change our point of view, change my point of view, and change your point of view. Let's change everyone's point of view until we're actually agreeing on pure, unalloyed love of God.
Sure. Haribol.
Haribol.